So in this next video, what we're going to do is we're going to start splitting up this topography that you've created into appropriate zones, and then we're going to grade those zones to the required levels to end up with the proper appropriate finished ground levels. I'll just move across to the site plan now, and a couple of things I want to do in the site plan so that I can see what's happening. And by the way, we're probably finished with this image just at the moment now, so if you like, you could just select your image and right click and hide in view the element. So the image is still there in case you need it for later on in the project, but it's now out of this view. The next thing that I'd like you to do is, you might see that your topography that you've created, if I just hover in this region through here, you might see the edge of the topography highlighted at the moment, this edge, and if I pull my cursor away, you can see that edge is invisible. That's because if you are using the same template file as me, I have previously in that template file turned the external lines of topography to become a white line. That way they don't show up, it's a white line on a white background, so you don't see those edges of the topography. But just for the moment we need to turn that back on, so I'll show you where I've done that. Over in your view properties through here, so with nothing selected in the properties bar, if you just come across to visibility graphics and edit the visibility graphics, and if you just scroll down until you can find topography there, if you click on the word topography, don't open the plus sign or anything, just click on the word topography, you'll see that the projection surface lines, or the projection lines, has been overridden with a white line. If you look very closely at your screen, you can see that there is a white line in the middle of that grey button. I need to click on that button there so that I can clear that override. Here you can see the colour is white. If I clear the override, there'll be no override, and if I click back on there and now OK, I can now permanently see the edges of my topography, and I'm going to need to do that for this next step. And what this next step is now, on the Mousing and Site toolbar, I need to split the surface. So I'm going to split this piece of topography. Now there's two ways you can select a piece of topography. You can select it on its edge, like other objects in Revit, or you can actually select, as long as you're pointing to a contour line, you can select that topography as well. So I'm going to click on that piece of topography there, and then I'm going to create a building platform around the outside of this building. So for the purposes of my selection, I just want to go, say, 3 metres past the nominal extremities of this building. So the easiest way to do that, I notice I'm missing a couple of grid lines around here. They do exist, so I'm just going to go to my light bulb down here to turn them on, and I can leave light bulb active there at the moment, while I go up to the Pick Lines tool, and if I did something like an offset of 3000 for 3 metres, and just select that grid line there, and the side one, and this other side one, so I've got a 3 metre offset, and I might go 3 metres from the edge of this concrete slab down here. So I'll select that line with 3 metre offset. I can now turn the light bulb off so you can see what I've done a little bit clearer, and I'll just trim. Either here's your trim command, or I can type TR, the shortcut key for trim, and I'm just trimming those lines, and that is the shape of the region that I want to split away from the overall site. So when I've done that, I'll just tick that line off. Very careful when you're sketching that, you can't have overlapping lines, the lines must trim in the corner. Typical sort of Revit type information for sketching. Okay, now the next step is, and I've already done this on this, had it prepared for you, but I'll show you what I've done. In the meantime, you probably won't have this set up like this at the moment. You can see that I've got a primary contour and a primary contour, and in between those primary contours I've got secondary dashed line contours every 250 millimetres. But there's something going on inside here. There's actually too many secondary contours, and I'll show you what I've done to create that. In actual fact, this top line through here is a single value contour that I've put in separately. What it is actually, it's the level that I've predetermined that you want for this platform in here when we level out the soil. And in this particular case, I decided to use 409.9 metres. So I have the 409 metre contour here, 409.25, 409.5, 409.75, and then there's an extra 409.9 metre contour before we get to 410. What that 409.9 metre contour gives me throughout here is it actually gives me an indication of the cut fill line. So the point where there will be no cut or no fill, because that contour line equals the level of my platform. So how I created that, you guys will need to do this. Under Mousing on Site, up here in the model site area, there's a little arrow to the right hand side where you get into the site settings. Click on that little arrow, bring up the site settings, and put a value in here of 409,900. Just make sure that it does read single value, and then click OK. What that should do for you is create that 409.9 metre contour for you. It's a temporary thing that we're going to do while we're working on this topography. Okay, so that's the cut fill line through there now.